Copy. Good evening. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, your net control operator for the River City ARC's Slow Scan TV Net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City ARC's members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break, break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I'll recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in Roseville.
November Romeo 6 Hotel, this is Anders in Folsom.
I have N6PGQ Bob and NR6H Anders, and KL7HQR Neil will join us when he can. Any other stations joining us tonight? All right, hearing none. Bob, N6PGQ, are you ready to share a photo?
Oh, sure. I decided to do a radio picture tonight instead of a car picture. Instead of being normal, if somebody wants a car picture, I've got one of those too. N6PGQ, this should be PD 120.
Okay, Bob, two things. One, I have a car picture for later to make up for this. And this, obviously, is the voice signature from Venus from the movie Contact. Came through really well. Almost no pixels, pixelation, anything like that. So actually, great, great signal. I'm not quite sure what it is. Anders, NR6H.
Somewhere deep in all my files, I have a reference that shows you pictures like this and tells you which mode it is. Some form of digital mode, interesting with the one graph on the top and basically the spectrum graph at the top, and then the waterfall below. Somebody's making some form of contact or at least receiving something. There's some significant horizontal bursts going on also, and then two vertical lines on the sides of those really strong three blurb signals in the middle there. So yeah, there is I have a reference somewhere, and that would probably tell us what this is, but I think Bob will probably beat us to telling us what this is all about. Interested to hear what it is. This is NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. KL7HQR, are you back yet?
KL7HQR, Roger, we're back. I'm still having problems with my rig here, but I'm looking at what came in on YouTube. I was with Bob when this was obtained, so I'll refrain from saying anything. So, but I'm back. I don't know if I'll be able to send a picture. As a matter of fact, I connected here, and I noticed that my rig is keying the transmitter. There's some kind of noise that's getting in, I think, from the ambient, and it's keying the transmitter, and actually probably caused some of the interference in here, so I disconnected it. So, but anyway, back to that. Thank you.
Very good. Well, I don't have much more to add. Bob, N6PGQ, what are we looking at?
Well, I was hoping you guys would tell me. I have no clue. This is a couple of days ago on 20 meters, and the vertical blue lines are sideband signals, and this is from the pan adapter of my radio, and all of a sudden these very buzzy signals came in, and obviously it's not transmitting at the time, but the signal strength that would be indicated on the scope at the top was just off the chart. It was really noisy, and it was taking out the adjacent sideband signals. And so I have no idea what it is, and so I was hoping someone could help me. So there's the picture, N6PGQ.
Go ahead.
If it helps, Bob thought there could be some interference, local interference that was interfering with his radio. So he called me, and we were a few miles apart, maybe about 10 miles apart or so. And I had it even stronger, so it was not a local thing. And the frequency was 14 at 345, right on the edge of the band, up on the upper edge. And in my case, some of the signals were even show stronger red. Again, no clue on what it is. Back to that.
So even though I was joking about a signal from Venus, it's possible I was right. Anders, any other comments?
Okay, so let's try to analyze this. You said the vertical blue bars on the sides were sideband, so they show roughly 3 kilohertz wide signals. That means that the red blurbs should be somewhere in the order of 6, from side to side on the red there should be about 6 kilohertz. And time-wise, it's hard to say what the vertical speed is of this, obviously, a few seconds bursts like that. First, I would say that it's a garage opener, but if you saw the same signal a few miles apart, that would be very unlikely. Looking through the different modes, I don't see anything. It could be some form of packet. But it's a 6 kilohertz wide packet, so maybe not an amateur radio signal. Maybe this was something coming in from some band, something else, unauthorized transmitter of some form. Yeah, that's as far as I can get in a few seconds here. So back to net, NR6H.
Thanks, NR6H. This is KN6QNJ. Any other questions for Bob before we move to Anders? Well, it's a conundrum. Maybe we'll find out someday. They're just taking up a lot of bandwidth there. Anders, are you ready to transmit?
No, but I'll see if I can bring it up for next Wednesday.
KL7HQR, I stepped on you. Can you repeat?
Sorry, I apologize. Should never do that with net control. I did record the signal on my SD card from my 7300. I don't have the SD card available for playing right now, but maybe for next weekend, for next Wednesday, I can play it and see if the audible part of it may ring any bells.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you. NR6H, are you ready to go?
I think so. I moved my rig and have everything reconnected, disconnected and reconnected again, so we will see if this works. If it does, it's going to be Robot 32, or Robot 72, so a pretty quick one. This is NR6H. We'll try here in a few seconds.
Well, Neil, you're next. KL7HQR. Comments? I got good copy. I think I know what that is, but Neil?
KL7HQR, as I said, my rig is disconnected here. I will try to connect when it's my turn to transmit. But I'm looking at what Carol received in there, and I see the measurements, 13.75, 13.75, 26, 27 and a half. Yeah, well, obviously obviously he seems to be a dipole for UHF, so I tried to figure out the frequency here. But good copy, back to that.
Copy. Bob, N6PGQ.
Yeah, good copy. Only about 3 pixel pops. It went by real quick. Quality's good. Somebody's feeding dipole with ladder line and has some measurements in there. So it'd be interesting to hear what the plans are. N6PGQ.
It looks like NR6H is making a doublet antenna or something. Anders, tell us what you sketched out there for us.
So full disclosure, it's not my picture. It's stolen offline, but online. But this started out as a G5RV that I bought from everybody's favorite place, MFJ. So I used the MFJ G5RV on field day and had pretty good results. And then I moved it to home, and I used it at home for a few weeks, and it still works pretty good. And then I started reading about G5 RVs and found this thing about optimized G5 RVs called ZS6BKW. Much harder to remember, but that's apparently somebody did some math. So the G5 RV is a really old design, while the ZS6BKW is basically taking that design and tuning it using software and simulations to make the antenna better. So the funny thing with the G5 RV is that it's not resonant on anything really, and you have to use a tuner no matter what you do with it. The ZS6BKW is resonant on a bunch of bands, actually 40, 20, 17, 12, 10, and 6. The only thing you need to do to your G5 RV to make it a ZS6BKW is to fold back the wire elements a little bit, about 3.5, 4 feet, and then you extend the ladder line with about 10 to 11 feet. And when you do that, you get a ZS6BKW. So that's what I did weekend before last, and wow, did that thing work. I have made FT8 contacts literally all over the world, including Kazakhstan, Western Australia, all over, not Africa. I was aiming for South Africa now, see if I can do that. But this thing works like a dream. So if anybody has a G5 RV, stop using that, buy 10 feet of ladder line, and fold back your wire elements, and you have a much, much better antenna. And what's fun is that you do most of this without a tuner. So it's really awesome. Just wanted to share that. This is N6NA, back to net.
That sounds like a good project, a good club project for any of the clubs. That's very, very cool. So this is distinct from a doublet then, which is what I thought it was.
Well, I mean, it's technically a doublet. I think the definition of a doublet is that the layout more than the measurements, right? But I would be very uncertain on that. So maybe don't take my word for it. But what I can tell you is that this thing really rocks. N6NA, back to them.
Thanks for sharing that. Neil or Bob, any comments?
BL7HQI.
Go ahead.
Anders, extremely interested on this. Very, very much so. Not for me, but for my son down in Houston. And I have my email. It's just Neil.Jimenez, my last name, at gmail.com. If you can drop me an email, and then we can establish communication, I would be interested in talking to you a little bit more, maybe seeing it, and hopefully replicating what you did. My eyes deceived me here. I was looking at 13.75 centimeters instead of meters, so that's what I said UHF. So if you can do that, I appreciate it. Back to that.
Copy that. Bob, N6PGQ, comments?
No, sounds interesting. Maybe he could send the information out to everybody or post it or something to that effect. N6PGQ.
Yeah, Anders, I don't know if you have enough information that you could share, that we could share with other club members. I think a lot of people would be interested in this. And I like the fact that it's basically only 60, 70 feet wide, which would work for me. I can't do the 120, 130 feet. Is that right? About, yeah, I guess so, 66 feet.
A little more than that. It's 92, I believe, from end to end. I'm using it as an inverted V, so my apex is at about 36 feet, and then it goes down to about 20 each end, and then some string to hold it taut between the trees there. But yeah, so that's my setup. The comparison I've done is very rudimentary. I had the G5 RV in the exact same place. So the only thing I did same anchor point for the G5 RV, and I literally just extended the ladder line, just soldered on an extra 11 feet, and I started cutting it back a little bit to tune it. So I ended up with about 10 foot extra on the not ladder line, it's really window line, right? It's the 450 ohm standard window line. So that's what it is. But yeah, I think I have everybody's email, so I'll send out an email here in a little bit. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Excellent. Neil, just confirming you are not able to transmit a picture because it's your turn, if you can.
KL7HQR. Well, let me see if somebody can help me here. I've never had this problem before, but I disconnected the computer for other purposes. I came back and connected again. When I connected the signal link and I did the tone test, and it was okay. But when I have it sitting here and I'm just listening, it triggers. It keeps on going on the air. It just click, 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 like if I was sending my Morse code identification. And I have gone to and adjusted the proper went to set up the N6NA SSTV miscellaneous and options and all that to the proper connection for input and output, but still doing that. So what I did, I disconnected completely because I don't want to be interfering with everybody else transmitting. I think I could possibly connect it and transmit it. I just cannot use on the receive. Any ideas on where to go from here?
Neil, did you change any of the settings on the signal link accidentally, or put it in a different place where you could be getting RF in on the line?
No, exactly the same location, exactly the same cable. I just removed it. You know my setup here. I just connected the USB, took the computer downstairs, used it, connected it back in. I'm quite sure it's quite easy if I go through the full phone for the signal link and the MMS-TV again from scratch. I probably will take care of that. But with having said that, let me give it a try. If this goes okay, this should be an PD-1. I stopped because I don't see any signal coming into the YouTube. So if there was no signal, I go on with somebody else and I'll try again later.
KM6QNJ. It was coming through, but it wasn't the right signal. It was transmitting something, but it wasn't quite right.
Well, thanks. Go on with the net. I'll stand by here and see what else I can do. Appreciate it. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Well, I guess it's my turn. Before I transmit, Carol, if you're listening, I did see the splash page on YouTube before we started transmitting. Thank you. That was very nice, and I'm interested to know who that character is. I don't know if you are able to respond to this question or not. Okay, I am going to send a picture of PD-120. It's a picture of a car. Stand by. based on what I can see on YouTube, that did not come through good at all. Bob, N6PGQ.
Okay, well, it came through pretty well here. Not very many pixel pops. Looks like the right rear of a Prius. It says cool Prius, nobody. Looks like the backup lights, perhaps, and the rear hatch with the handle that you open the hatch. Anyway, that's my guess, N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Anders, NR68.
There is a movie where one of the, I don't know if it was Stallone or somebody has been rushing out of, I don't know, the casino. I don't remember the details, but it's the run up to a car chase, and the bad guy is getting away, and they run up and they take the first car out of the parking lot there, and it is a Prius, and they look at it and say, seriously? I don't remember the movie, but just remember that scene. But yeah, nobody's ever said that. NR6H back to net.
Exactly. Neil, KL7HQR.
Roger. Well, I have to go by what you see up on YouTube, and exactly, it looks like they had a lot of interference, but that is exactly the description of what I see there. I don't think I've seen that movie, so I can't comment on that. And whenever we're done, I'm going to try one more time to send the picture, but no comment further on this one.
All right, yeah, thanks. One of my coworkers has this on his car, on his Prius, just to make fun of himself. Okay, Neil, KL7HQR, you want to try again? Go ahead. Well, Neil, we got something. This is KN6QNJ. KL7HQR. We got a picture of maybe the bay from the back of a boat, but it's a little bit off. I don't know enough about the signaling to be able to tell you what adjustment to make. and then it didn't stop in time, so I lost the picture, and a new picture is coming in. Did you copy?
Roger, copy. And I was looking at looks like the same thing happened on Carol's end there. So I don't know what happened. I think I'm going to have to disconnect everything, start from scratch. My apology, guys. Back to net.
Well, it was there. It was a little wavy. It didn't come in as clean as you're normally able to send, and then it didn't stop in time, and so it's obviously started another picture. I don't know, Bob or Anders, if you have some thoughts about what's going on. N6NA, let's start with you.
Okay, well, I'll have to do it by memory because mine skipped to the next page, and it isn't there. So it looked like it was a picture taken from the stern of a boat as it went through the Golden Gate Bridge. The picture was kind of wavy. It wasn't clear, but you could see the wake of the ship as it was moving forward. That's all I can remember in 6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Actually, I just clicked on history in the SSTV app, and I was able to capture it. It is exactly as you described. Definitely looks like a ship, I don't know what direction, going east or west, into the bay or out of the bay. Anders, NR6H.
So one thing I heard was that the YouTube audio was fed back on top of or behind the SSTV signal. So that's where the waves come from, because basically what we heard was the data, or not the data, but the audio was sent twice with a significant delay, because YouTube is delaying the audio quite a bit. So one thing that you may want to look at, Neil, is your audio settings on the computer there, and make sure that your audio from your default audio output should not be to the radio, it should not be to the signal link, but it should be to your speakers, while the signal link device should be only set up in SSTV. I think that's the way it works. But I see the same thing. I see Golden Gate from the, I would also say stern of the boat, because there's there are wakes behind it, so it would be very strange if those wakes were preceding the boat. And I would say that this is looking at in towards the bay, so you have just passed under the gate and are on your way out to the ocean. That's my rough estimate on what I see. The picture came through pretty well, though. I had some waviness, but still good-ish reception. NR6H, back to net.
NR6H. Yes, you know what? At the beginning of the transmission, I also heard the YouTube in the background somehow. Neil, KL7HQR, tell us about the picture and ask any other questions you think we might be able to help with.
Roger, KL7HQR. Yeah, well, you guys got it. Good detective work in there, and it is a picture that we took when we went out on a cruise to Alaska just about a month ago, and we went out of San Francisco, and this is aboard the Ruby Princess, and we just got under the bridge, and I was up front, and then ran to the back and took this picture. On the original, you can see San Francisco on the right-hand side underneath the South Tower. And there's another picture I have that shows the fort from that side. Anyway, so that's what it was. Also, the other thing that I did, I just disconnected my connection to the display here where I see the YouTube, and apparently the problem may have gone. So let me go back to net, and if I see if anybody else would like to send another picture. Bob may have another car picture. Then if you come back to me, I may kind of try to resend at least part of it to see if the problem is gone. Back to net. Thank you.
Well, Neil, why don't you go ahead? We'll just go in reverse order and see who else has a picture. But why don't you go ahead and try it again since we're experimenting?
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate your patience. So there we go. Let's try it again.
Oh, that is much better. Now I want to go to Alaska. Bob, N6PGQ, any comments?
Yeah, that cleaned it up real well. No wiggles or anything like that. You can see things the way they're supposed to be. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Anders, NR6A.
Pretty much a perfect reception. I have there are some scattered pixel pops, but very clear colors, very nice pictures. So no issue. Perfect. Thank you. NR6H, back to net.
Well, Neil, I think you fixed it. Very good.
Well, thanks, guy. It looks like the problem is like a feedback loop between when I plug the USB for the other display just to watch the YouTube. Looks like the YouTube audio, which has a delay, somehow is kind of feeding back in. So, yep, it's an audio system reset, disconnect everything. I'm glad you guys did that. And by the way, out of San Francisco, you just don't go to Alaska. You go to Mexico. You go to Hawaii. You go California coast. So, all kinds of goodies out of San Francisco. But out of all the places that I left, I have sailed out of Venice in Italy. San Francisco departure is still my favorite. Back to net.
That's very, that says something, doesn't it, about where we live. Bob, do you want to send another picture?
Oh, sure. You want a car or an engine?
Oh, I want an engine.
This should be PD-120.
picture of a rebuilt, I'm not quite sure, in a, I don't know, an old Studebaker, I'm not sure, Anders NR68.
Yeah, that shape of car indicates some vintage, but I know almost nothing about cars, so especially vintage cars, so I can't comment. It looks like an engine, and it should have some kind of cover on it, but that would be a pity because it's pretty. NR6H, back to net.
Neil, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR. Well, that fixed my receiving end also because I got a fantastically clear picture here. And I know what this is. I've been to Bob's many, many times, and he doesn't show this to too many people. This is a 1907 DeLorean. I recognize that because I see the old initial model of the flux capacitor. You can see the little red band in there indicating that it's experimental and they had not completely developed it. But anyway, all joking aside, very, very clear picture, beautiful, and it looks like a vintage car and absolutely clean engine. Interesting in knowing which one of Bob's family cars is this. Back to net.
Thanks, Neil. Yes, this is KN6QNJ. I also got a very clean picture, except for the Morse code station ID, I think. This looks like it has 3 carburetors. I'm trying to understand how it's set up. So, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 valves. I'm trying to figure this out. But Bob, you're going to have to tell us. Are we looking at the early version of the Back to the Future DeLorean or something else?
Okay, well, it's something else. This is what started out as a Ford flathead engine. The flatheads for Ford were built from 1932 to 1953, and you can tell that it's a flathead Ford #1 by looking at the fact that it does not have a valve cover on it. There's no overhead valves, and it also has 3 exhaust pipes instead of 4 for the 4 cylinders on each side. Let me let this drop for a second. And as you mentioned, it has 3 2-barrel carburetors on the intake manifold. They're Model 97 carburetors, in case anybody's interested. And the interesting thing about this is that if you look very carefully at the head, there are 2 spark plugs per cylinder. And supposedly this would allow the gasoline fuel mixture to be ignited more efficiently. And you would use either a custom distributor on it, or what a lot of people used was a Nash Dual 8 distributor, because Nash has an 8-cylinder engine with 2 spark plugs, and so you'd use their distributor and modify it to fit on the front of the Ford flathead. And the car is a 1932 Ford, and it's a Bonneville car, so it's off to the RPM Nationals to do a set of 8th mile drag runs. So that's about it.
That's really interesting. So it's being used for racing as we speak.
Well, right now it's being tuned up and waiting for a set of stickier rear tires.
Copy. Okay. That's really neat. I know that some of the BMW motorcycles went to a second spark plug because they were having some knocking. Does that second spark plug just make it overall more efficient if it's tuned right?
Now, at the moment, it's got a standard Ford distributor on it, and you can see the spark plug wires are only going to the top set of spark plugs. Because it wasn't running right, and we thought it was the distributor, so we pulled the distributor off and pulled off half the spark plug wires and ran it on 4 instead of 8 on each side, and it didn't seem to make much difference, but it kind of looks cute.
It does. It's very interesting. Any other questions for Bob?
L7H2R, who owns this car, Bob?
Well, this one belongs to my brother. I can't claim it, although I do help work on it.
Just one of those that was in a museum that I may have seen.
Yeah, this one was in the museum, and we pulled it out this weekend, or last weekend.
I'll take a look at my pictures after that.
That's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Bob. On YouTube, we have Alf, KN6PRD, and Craig Bruce. They've joined us. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Anders, do you want to share another photo?
I don't have anything prepared, so I will defer to next week maybe. NR6H, back to you.
Copy. I don't have anything prepared either, but I think we've had a very successful night. Does anybody else want to send, I guess Neil or Bob, you have any other pictures you want to send before we close the net?
L7H2R, no, I do not have anything prepared, but thank you very much, guys, for the guidance and the patience, and we got things solved. And between now and next Wednesday, hopefully I'll have everything squared away here again and back to normal. Thank you so much, and thanks for taking care of the net, and hello to the guys on YouTube, L7H2R.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, you want to just send another photo?
I think I'll save mine till next week and carry on from there. N6PGQ.
Very good. Well, with that, let me thank all who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:50 p.m. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, wishing all of you a very good evening. Thank you all.